Hello everybody, and welcome to another video critique. As you may have guessed by now, my name is Colin Blakely, and I am, your instructor. So, sorry, I spaced out there for a second. Okay, so, where did I start here? Let's start on, we are looking at Leah Frank's images here, and so the assignment was, that's why I was starting on the other one. The assignment is to shoot 5 images in 4 different lighting situations for a minimum of 20, 5 times 4. And then you want it to be indoor, outdoor, fluorescent, and incandescent. So, it's just something to keep in mind. I mean, I know you guys all read that, but yeah, something to remember. So yeah, we're going to go through, we're going to evaluate the images as images, and then we're going to talk about how she did on the requirements of the assignment. So, yeah, let's just start here. This window light, I am liking it. Windows always give you such great light. And, sorry, I just lost track of that. This window looks familiar. I think maybe we saw some, an easel next to this window earlier. Okay, so I just want to quickly point out something here. So she's got her gray card, and it's always good to have. But when you have a gray card, you have to have it. You have to have the light source that's hitting your subject also be illuminating the gray card. So yeah, if you are, sorry, I lost my thought there. If you are using this for any kind of exposure, you know, like to determine your exposure, if you're doing it through the lens, or if you're using the gray card as a way to do, sorry, if you're using your gray, take two. If you're using your gray card in the color by numbers way of correcting, which if you haven't already done so, go ahead and watch the video. I posted it to the announcements. You'll see that you can actually, as long as this gray card has the same exposure as the rest of the scene, you can quickly go in and you can adjust the entire exposure for just the entire image for exposure and for color balance, because it's a known neutral element, and yeah, Photoshop is able to map out what everything else should look like based on the known neutral value. So, yeah, what you want to do is you want to just have it in the same light as your light source. So this would work a little bit better. As you can see, it's just dark because it's 100% in shadow. So let me just zoom back out here just a minute. So of these, I feel like one of these two is probably the most successful image. Probably this one. Nice lighting throughout, and yeah, I just feel like, you know, great composition, you know, off-center subject matter, nice lighting, everything looks great. And these, see, I like what she's doing here. She's starting to work the scene more. This is, excuse me, this is actually pretty similar to how I shoot, even including the gray card. So this would work because it's more or less in the same light. Although even just holding it like directly in front of this thing, like, you know, if you leaned it up against here, you would know that the light would match pretty much perfectly. But yeah, that's what I do. Like, you know, you frame it up how you have seen it in your head, or, you know, you take a little time and sort of look through your viewfinder and, you know, find where you want it to be, you know. And then if you want to, I mean, again, look at the video that I posted. If you have the same setup, you know, subjects in the same light, you can have that, you know, you can take this next exposure, which has the same values, and you can use this to determine the neutral gray. Bam, you've got it. But yeah, as I was saying, so she's working. She's framing it up. She's getting tighter. She's adjusting the composition, and she's looking for something that really works. All right. Ooh, I kind of like these. This is nice. I like the this element. Sort of circular geometric shape. This is a nice background for it, and it's got pretty good light. And I would tend to say, I think the exposure, let's see, exposure. The composition is probably best in this one. Yeah, I think this has the best exposure. I can't. My brain's not working today. This has the best composition. You can see that again, as I like to do. I imagine that the grid, the rule of thirds grid, and it's slicing right across here, which is basically the center of the circle. So that is nice. I'm liking that. Zoom back out here a little bit. To me, this has the best exposure. God, I can't stop saying best exposure. It does have a nice exposure, but it has the best composition. But I think here, in these images, we're getting to what I consider to be the most successful images of her assignment. So we got a lot of great elements going here. We got nice light, diffuse, open shade, with the exception of here, but open shade. I feel like I've talked a lot about open shade, but I'm going to just throw it out there again. Open shade is shade that has light reflecting in it from, other elements, as opposed to closed-off shade, which is just dark. The nice thing about it is that it is very diffuse. It's light. It's significantly brighter than, just dark, plain old dark, or closed-off shade. And it, it just looks really nice. You can see. You can see it right here. This is great. It's, shade, but it has some kind of nice light coming in here. So this is okay. This is really nice. I think this is probably your most successful image here. Really well composed. You can see her eye is right on that upper third where it wants to be. This is really nice. It's just beautiful. And there's a thing, as we have evolved, we look for faces and we look for eyes. Because again, it's just, back in the day, it helped us survive predators and, whatever. It's still hardwired into us, so when we look at something, we look for eyes, we look for faces. If we're denied that, even subtly, closed off denied, it makes us want to somehow go into the image. Like when you're viewing this, there's a part of you that wants to be able to move into the space that you're not allowed to because it's an image, and get a better look down, sort of be looking up like this. There's a kind of visual tension that happens there that's always really nice. So nice. I like this. Again, well composed. Get this, her. She has a, sort of a nice, kind of captivating look. We have this element of the chain coming down. Nice green color there. The sort of combination of this sort of visual rhythm and the geometric shapes. Really liking that. So, all right, let's do a little bit of global correction versus local correction. So already this looks better than it did above. She looks like she opened up the exposure some, and I think that's funny. I think these are actually the two that I was looking at above, saying were the best exposures, or the best both exposures and compositions of that group. So nice choosing. Being able to edit your own stuff is an important skill in what we do as photographers. That's probably not as important as being a good shooter, but if you can't pick out the most successful image of your shoot, then you're just you're shackling yourself, right? You're handicapping yourself. So it can be a really hard thing. Surprisingly, you would think, well, I look at my images, I know which is the best image, right? Not necessarily, because there are other factors. Someone just coming in off the street might have, well, maybe not coming in off the street, but someone else who is also a photographer, but who is not necessarily invested as much in the images as you, a lot of times will be a better editor than you will be. Because take this for example, just hypothetically. Say that this was a really hard setup, that she had to stand in 3 inches of ice cold water in order to shoot this. Whereas, say this, she stood in her nice warm living room and, it was easy as pie. This, because it took her so much more effort to make this, especially if she had to hike 10 miles and stand in the freezing water to get that shot, you're going to be a lot more invested in this turning out right than you are in something that was fairly easy to shoot. That's great for you, but if this is the better image than this, that, the person looking at that's not going to say, I bet you had to hike 10 miles and stand in freezing water. They don't know that. And even if they did, it wouldn't necessarily affect how they view it if this is a better image. So you have to be able to separate yourself from the process of making the image and say, okay, what is the best image technically? What has the best emotional impact? So they're all factors. So what do? If you have a friend or loved one who is knowledgeable of photography or is just a good judge or who can be honest with you, you have to allow them to be honest with you. You can't be like, well, this one was so much harder to shoot than that one. You have to be like, okay, just tell me which is the best image. And if you can, tell me why. If you have someone like that in your life, it makes things a lot easier. That's where, talk to your classmates, talk to your friends. Get someone to talk to you. And if you have someone like that, the other thing is just be able to distance yourself from it a little bit. And if you can do that, then you have a decent shot at being a good editor. If you cannot, then a lot of your best images may never be seen outside of your computer. I don't know. I kind of went off there. But it looks like so far she's selecting pretty good. And that might be that one I just cropped in a little bit more. That I don't know. But good choices there. Now, I swear I didn't look ahead and cheat. This and this were 2 images that I pointed out, especially this one. I think your most successful image here. And she did a good job. She chose the ones more or less that I would have chose here. The 8 most successful ones of there. So let's see. So just looking at her global corrections, they're definite improvements, and global and local. So if you, again, I keep saying this, but if you haven't already done so, go ahead and look at the videos that I posted that show you how to do this. At first I kind of felt like the stuff that was already in the class was enough, but then I kind of got worried in the past and people have had some questions, so I ended up making this video and posting it. So if you have any questions at all or confusion at all about the difference between global and local, about how you would do them, check out that video. Absolutely. If it's not an issue for you at all, you can skip it, or you can look at it. It doesn't hurt anything. If you got a few minutes to spare, go ahead and watch it. So, anyway, I digress. This is getting a little, we're losing, I think, some detail in there. Let's go back up and just look at that. See, in this version, you still have detail, even in pretty much in the brightest highlights. You can still see a little color, a little, something in there. This, it's getting to be just a little bit too much. Right in that area, you're kind of losing detail. So I'd say that maybe is a little bit overcorrected. And again, the difference, I guess I haven't really talked too much about that yet. But the difference is with the global, you are putting an adjustment layer on, you know, curves, hue, saturation, and luminance, whatever it is. You're putting that just over the whole thing, adjusting everything. Here, you've also done that, but then you've come in and you've masked, you know, you've put another adjustment level on there and just masked away part of it. So you're only adjusting a certain area. Or you've selected, say, you know, she made a selection around the Coke label, even though that doesn't necessarily look like what she did here. But she'd done that and then just adjusted within that same thing. So that's just a little bit right for me. These look good. These look nice. Also nice. And this, I think, both of these are an improvement. A little bit right there, but that's another thing that you could go back and just kind of, you know, especially if you're doing a layer mask, you can unmask this and bring back a little bit of that detail. But this looks really nice. I mean, you get some good detail. You can start to see your freckles. You can see sort of the texture of her shirt. This is looking great. So yeah, overall, I think you did a pretty excellent job. Leah is really, she's really knocking it out of the park. I mean, I think that, you know, that she has been pretty consistently great throughout this class. So, got a couple of comments. People are saying, "Are you just in a room full of stuff?" Because we come to the end, and you know, now looking around the room. Yeah, my desk is in the corner, and because I don't keep the door locked in here all the time, my kids love to sneak in here, you know, whip off their shirt, whip off their pants, throw their toys in here. I don't even know, but I haven't found any. Well, like the youngest one will sometimes come in here and use it like a bathroom, but I haven't found any number ones or number twos in here in a while, so that's good. Not to give you more detail than you want, but so yeah. So in my one corner, my visual field is nice and, you know, uncluttered, nice and neat. But then if I turn, you know, 90 degrees, it's just a freaking mess. But yeah, that's what having 3 young boys will do. So, the word that you should post, and please post these in the discussion forum. I know sometimes people try and post them in YouTube. Post them on our class discussion forum. That makes it easier for me to go in later and see that you did it. Monkey. Looking at a stuffed animal monkey on the floor. So monkey. Yeah. So thanks for watching, guys, and I hope this helps.